Hi everyone, this is Chris, and welcome to Anime Debates, Pokemon versus Digimon. Now, I have a hard time making a decision with this one because Pokemon is, of course, one of my favorite things on the planet. But Digimon still hands down is one of my favorite shows I watched as a child. Now, Pokemon can hold the same distinction, except for the fact that if you continue to watch it, it feels like it didn't hold up. Let's just get right into that. So, Pokemon is a show, if you've never seen it before, about a kid who goes on a journey with the digital creatures. He uses his creatures to catch other creatures, and then wants to be the, I guess, best guy catching those creatures, which makes him a Pokemon master. And that's kind of what we all signed up for when we started watching this show. Because when you play the game, of course, the character you're playing as has a beginning and an end. You go through his journey, and you go, yeah, this is awesome. And it starts, you go, oh yeah, I know that Pokemon. That's awesome. I got a Dexter too. I can see the things in my Pokédex. And it's all about you basically being the character and ergo being able to relate with him. And as the show goes on, that lessens more and more because you realize the show is literally retreading everything. Like, literally everything. Like, if you've seen a battle, you've seen a battle. If you've seen a capture, you've seen a capture. And so it just feels like nothing is being, like, I guess nothing new is being created here. Nothing new is being made. And that's okay, because sometimes the old is awesome. Sometimes retreads can be great. And Pokemon did that well for a while. Like, Pokemon the first movie is one of my favorite movies ever. And they didn't do anything particularly new. And that's fine. Now, as the show goes on, you start to kind of tire the antics. You go, you know what, Pokemon? You gonna get to the point? Is he going to become a master or is he not? Like, it's to the point where now people want to see a new trainer step up. People don't want to see Ash anymore. Like, it's really, really sad in my eyes. Because I feel like he was an awesome character when he started. And he had so much promise, so much potential. He had so much to learn. His companions were great. Brock, Misty. Like, you see it all. And you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And now you're just like, oh, could you stop? Because even when he goes to another town or gets new companions, you still kind of wish he was smarter. You kind of wish that he was a better trainer, and you wish that he was like up to the promise that the show kind of set us up for. Like, he's supposed to be, and they never say this, but they make it feel like it. He's supposed to be the chosen one. He's supposed to be the greatest trainer of all time. Even his rival retires at some point. And again, all this is supposed to be happening in the same year. Like, the kid never ages, and that's a big problem we all have had with the show. But I won't judge you too much on that because, hey, it is what it is. Now, if we get to about the art has changed throughout the series, and now it's really bright and crisp and very digital. Like, the original show was obviously hand-drawn, and I kind of enjoyed that more. In the current season, X and Y, they're more, like, vibrant and more alive than they've ever been. And it's really cool because they're actually also doing the thing where the characters are finally showing some real development and humanity. The girl that Ash travels with, one of them at least, is actually saying she has feelings for him. And that is awesome because we've all been shipping Ash with all these different companions. And finally one might happen. Maybe, but probably not. There was a season where Team Rocket was actually evil and actually menacing. And you actually were afraid they might actually hurt someone. Not all the time, but this is finally a thing that's happening. Like, that's what the show has become. It's become a thing where things that probably should have happened a long time ago are happening, and it makes us excited. I'm not saying the show is bad by any means. It is enjoyable, highly enjoyable. X and Y is probably one of my favorite shows I watch to this day. But that doesn't mean that you compare it to another series, such as Digimon, that it's going to hold up. And that's where we're going next. Let's move into Digimon. Digimon is a similar show where kids get trapped in a digital world, and then they either find their way out, or they find their way home, and the monsters come home with them. Now, this happens differently in different shows. The show has 2 seasons, well, really has 3 that are cohesive, but 2 that are very cohesive, and 1 is kind of disjointed. And then they have more than that don't tie in until much, 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 much later. The show takes breaks, unlike Pokemon, because Pokemon's been going on consistently for over 17 years. Digimon's been going on, but then they'll like stop for a couple of years and then come back, stop for a couple of years and come back. And I feel like that might be a better formula because it allows the show to be fresh, and it allows the show to very much so remain a strong mainstay within the minds of people who both have nostalgia brain and people who just step into the franchise. Now, Digimon had a lot of like really goofy, silly humor. A lot of it akin to Samurai Pizza Cats, have you ever heard of that before? Where the rumor is they lost the script, so they just made their own stuff. In Digimon, they did a lot of that. Did a lot of improvising on the American version of the show, and that made it really, really silly and confusing sometimes, but also a lot of fun. Now, the big distinction here I mentioned earlier is that Digimon's story had a beginning and an end. There is a point of this show where the characters actually grow up and get married and like ship off, and you actually get to see the pairings you wanted to see. And that's like, yes, you're giving us something I want. It makes you so happy, makes you so excited, but at the same time, it also means that the journey goes to an end, and you have to move on to new characters. Now, the first 2 seasons of Digimon introduce new characters pretty much immediately, like as the show goes on. Like it started off with one set of Digidestin, then it moves on to the next, but it brings in the old Digidestin in the middle of the series, so you have a lot of Digidestin going up against this big, ultimate evil, and you have the different dynamic characters that come into the show that are all awesome, all a lot of fun, all relatable in different ways. And I know initially I hated Davis because he wasn't Tai, but then you grow to like Davis, but you also grow to like the other characters too, because now the guy that's the leader isn't the cookie cutter character that the original one was. He's has more of an edge, he has more of an attitude, he's more of a whiner, and you're like, man, I don't like this guy. Where's the other guy? But then you find that you like one of the girls more, so you just relate to the girl instead, and that is cool. That's the way life is. Like you don't always gravitate towards a character that is the leader. You don't always gravitate towards a character that takes charge. Sometimes you gravitate towards a character that is like more meeker or quieter or has a different personality, and that made the show more engaging as well. Then you move on to season 3, Digimon Tamers, where everyone is emo. It is probably the most emotional show I've seen in a long time made for kids. Watch the first couple episodes. I've never seen people cry so much in a show about nothing in my life. Like they are constantly crying and emoting and being, I don't want to do this. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want you to leave me. We can't be friends. Like all that. Like everyone is like so whiny, or if they're not whiny, they're just like, Digimon are just data. I can't love you, but I can't evolve if you don't love me. Okay, I'll love you. All right, I don't love you anymore, but you can still evolve. Yeah. It's so ridiculous, and yet so engaging. It's like a soap opera for kids. Like I watch that show every week, like, oh my gosh, they need to stop crying right now. And yet I'm like, hey, don't cry. I'll be your friend. Come on, Tagato. It's okay. Come on, man. It's okay. And it's kind of cool because I feel like also, at least in the world of Tagato, his Digimon grows with time. Like at first he's really stupid and very infantile, very much a child, but as the show goes on and he develops, you get to actually see him grow and have more of a personality, take charge, be a real friend, not be so naive, learn things, and that's something I wish Pokemon did. That's one thing that I love about Digimon that Pokemon has always bugged me over, is the fact that they had real personalities. They weren't just saying their names. They were actually like, you know, stating their independence. They had attitudes. They disobeyed. Like they didn't just spit fire in your face. They'd be like, yeah, I'm not doing that, I'm gonna do what I want. I know what you said, but hey, I'm gonna go ahead and just act like you're being sarcastic. Like they were super, super funny, and that's what made the show better. I think that Digimon had a better story structure, Digimon had a better cast, Digimon had better animation even if this animation still holds up. Like Pokemon's old animation looks like very 80s, very 90s even. Digimon's animation still looks crisp if you compare it to today's animation. It still looks good and holds up. So I have to compare the two shows. I'm going to say hands down, Digimon wins. Not to say that Pokemon isn't a good show, because it's a great show. It's one of my favorite shows, and it is part of my childhood. But if we're going to be real here, absolutely real here, Digimon is and always will be the superior show. Now, if you have a different opinion, let me hear about it down below. Which show do you like better, Digimon or Pokemon? And also, what do you hear me debate next on the next Anime Debates? Now, we use Teleport. Now, one thing I didn't touch on really here is the theme songs. Now, I'm going to go with the American theme songs because I didn't really get into the Japanese version of either one of these shows. Now, if you want to do that, though, Netflix has the Digimon first 2 seasons, and I think you can translate them over to Japanese and read the subtitles. And I did that for a couple of episodes of the Digimon show, and it's actually really different. It's really fun to see what things they decided to translate differently, but I'll just be real with you guys here and tell you that I still love the American version because I like saying Digimon, Digital Monsters, Digimon Gnarly Champions, womp womp. The Pokemon's theme songs, for sure, way more classic, and you can't beat that Pokemon. It's you and me, Pokemon. I know it's my destiny. Like, that is just something you can never, ever lose, no matter how old you get. If you enjoyed this video, add me on Twitter so you never miss another one. Also, help me get to VidCon 2015 by donating at least $1 to my Patreon. If you can't do that, at least watch one of my other videos. I have a playlist and links in the description. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys later. So right after I finished recording this episode, I recorded it live in front of an audience on Hangout, and someone told me there's a Digimon show called Digimon Try that's coming out in Japan, which will follow the continued adventures of the original Digidestined from seasons 1 and 2. And I looked at the freaking art, and they've aged them, and they kept them their older ages, even older than they were in Digimon 2, and it looks so great. And my only question now is, are they going to have the new Digidestined from the second season featured as well?